Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing a Halloween card, a really simple one using Clearly Besotted and my Copic markers. Now the stamp set that I used today was the Halloween Plushies, and I already did the prepping of this card just to save some time, but as you can see here I did some masking. So first I stamped out the little devil and then I masked it off and could add the other two cuties. And then I added the spider on top. Now I don't know if you recall, but somewhere all the way in the beginning when I started with the Halloween cards for this year, I told you about this spider, okay? So I really have a phobia of spiders, and I know that there is like a word for, but it's already difficult in Dutch, let alone in English. So I will just say it like that. Normally I am like in complete panic mode, hyperventilating and all those things once I see like a spider. Okay, there are a few exceptions like the itty bitty bitty ones, but there aren't a lot of exceptions, and so I actually completely freeze once I see one. So normally whenever the Halloween card series started for everyone, and I'm so inspired by everyone on Instagram and all those things, but if there are any fake spiders next to the card, I get like the chills of it, and I know that they are fake and I know it's just decoration aside the card and all those, but no, it doesn't work for me like that. So then I see it, I get the chills, and then I need to tell to myself, Lean, no, it's a fake one. But I prefer scrolling quickly after liking because spreading the love. But I said it in the beginning, this spider is an exception on all of them. A spider plushie, and it's a cute one. So that's why I decided to add it. The card doesn't need it actually. I think it works as well if you just keep the 3 images that we are now coloring, but it can be on top of it, so that's why I did it. But if you want to simplify this card, and yes, you can simplify it way more than what I did here, but if you want to do that, then you can leave out the spider, you can put the tiny sentiment if you want to. You can also add more and more and more than what I did. You can add a bunch of the plushies. You don't actually need to sit straight, in my opinion, neither. You can add them crisscross, you can do a full panel with them, you can incorporate all of the plushies. You can do some ink blending if you want to. There are many ways to change up this card, but I wanted to keep it clean and simple with an extra spider. So here I have some coloring, and I kept it quite simple. You can find the coloring or the combination of the colors that I used on my blog, of course. That might be easy for you instead of writing it quickly down. I list them every time on my blog post. And I just had a lot of fun coloring these images. But since they are so cute, I also didn't want to go overboard with shadowing. Just because if you keep your shadowing really soft and you don't go for the crazy, what do I want to say? The crazy contrast between your lightest and darkest markers, I personally find that you can keep it cuter that way. So just by not going overboard, it's actually really cute. So you do you. If you want to add more shadows, then you add more. But I think that what I did here isn't with a lot of contrast, but it helps with the cuteness, and that was what I was going for. I'm also keeping the colors quite simple, since I'm using the same red on the tie as well as on the little devil. I must admit, he is so cute, it's crazy. And then of course this is Transotype perfect coloring paper. I die cut it using the basic rectangles from Mama Elephant. It's one of those basics that I use all the time, but I'm sure that you have your basic rectangle die somewhere if you're like me and you cannot cut paper straight. The basics are truly a help, a blessing in my craft room. So whenever I have a lot of Copic markers on top, and the paper might get oversaturated, I use my heat gun. But also if I go outside the lines with reds, it's truly a color family that is really difficult to push back in with the colorless blender. But whenever I need to do that, I quite quickly tend to grab towards the heat gun again to dry up the area where I used the colorless blender on. And I have the idea, I'm not completely sure, but in my opinion it helps me, because if the area stays wet, definitely for these colors like reds, if the area stays wet, from time to time the red marker tends to bleed back into that wet area. And when you heat set it, it's dry and it doesn't tend to go back that easily. So if you're having troubles with that, maybe use your heat gun, try that out again, and it might help you. So now on to the mummy, which was quite funny, but I wanted to keep it light, but I didn't want to keep the mummy thingy or the paper white because, well, mummies are really old and they have been there for, well, a couple of years is an understatement, but they have been there quite a long time. So even when it was white in the past, it is no more white. So that's why I just went really quickly with some light E50 markers and just did some flicking, and that was the coloring. Now, I first thought of using this specific die set from Hello Bluebird, but it didn't work, so I'm going to skip that. I used another alpha die set. It's the Charlie alpha die, and I just added a boo sentiment after my grounding here, which I'm not like a Copic expert in backgrounds. I did now one and it was a lot of fun. I was really insecure, but I got so much love from you on Instagram, from everyone who is encouraging me to make cards. So I definitely want to try it more, trying to do a simplistic background with Copics, and of course I will share it then here with you. It might help, and that's what I'm doing it for. But here I'm just adding a bit of warm gray markers, really light ones, and I'm just flicking a bit, starting at the images and having it a bit random, but at the same time mostly where the images are situated. And then the one die set didn't work for the boo, so I used the Charlie Alphas. If you don't have these ones, I could have also used the stitched in alphas from My Favorite Things. I don't know if that's the exact name, but I use them often, and that would also have worked. I added just boo, but another option is also take that alpha die set that you have, do the boo, or do another word if you want to, and then add like a tiny sentiment strip on top. It's something that I didn't do and that I'm still thinking of, should I do it, should I not do it, should I leave it like this or not. But as long as I don't send the card, I can still add it, but then I would add a sentiment strip, maybe out of the same paper, and then a white heat emboss the sentiment. One of the sentiment strips, for example, from My Favorite Things that you have those sentiments sets, the itty bitty, I think it's itty bitty boos. Even, I'm not sure, but that's the Halloween version, and I think it would work as well. But I just decided to leave it like this. Now, I also decided to double the boo and just have a bit more dimension over there. So I just die cut it again and added them with some liquid glue. And then I'm going to add this panel to my card base and just finish it off using some glossy accents. Because glossy accent is life, and personally when I have like one word that will be the sentiment or the word on my card, I tend to really like it to add glossy accents to it. I also added black glaze pen to the eyes,